And after this, it came to pass that David attacked the Philistines and subdued them, and David took Mepheg-Ammah from the hand of the Philistines. One of David's first conquests was a place called Mepheg-Ammah. 2 Samuel chapter 8 and verse 1. This was the stronghold of the Gath in Philistine territory. Bible students, you will remember that the Philistines were enemies of God. You remember that this is the same city that David had to act as if he was a madman to save his own life. How he scribbled on the gates and spat on his beard in trying to save his life from the residents of that city. Now David conquers Mepheg-Ammah. Next, David's forces swooped down into the land of Moab. Moab had been the enemies of God's people for many, many years. Traditions that go back a long time tell us that David had sent his aged parents to Moab, hiding them from the enemies as a refuge against Saul's marauding army. But instead of protecting David's parents, the Moabites cruelly murdered them. So now David, taking on the enemies of God, perhaps even feeling some personal retribution, David swoops down and conquers Moab. I want you to note, my sisters and brothers, so that within the time frame of one chapter, 2 Samuel chapter 8, David will bring about retribution to hundreds of thousands of God's enemies as the Israelites begin to take the land that God had promised them. Bible students, you remember that in Genesis chapter 12 and verses 1 to 3, God had said to Abraham that I will make your seed as the sand on the seas. God had established, God had chosen the Israelites to be his preacher nation, to be an example to those around him. So David is carrying out that promise. So now we approach 2 Samuel chapter 9. Bear in mind, my sisters and brothers, that we're talking about grace. David is enjoying unbelievable success. It has been 20 years since he has dodged Saul's spear. David is now on top, as it were, top dog.